Now then, how you doing? Good to see you all again. It's only a short upload this is, it's not one of these proper vlogs, it's just an upload talking about a specific topic, because one of the things that gets me in carp fishing is this relentless pushing of rigs and bait. It drives me insane, and I know I'm responsible for it as well because I work in the trade, and every time I catch a carp I put it on my social media, what rig and bait I used, and you know, in my vlogs I also mention rigs and bait. I know there's an awful lot of interest in it. I know there's a lot of people that like to talk about it, and there's also a lot of people that like to look at the gear that you're using. So I am a plugger. I do mention it in my films, I do mention products, I do flag things up and say, you know, there's a bit of a product placement in this film and what have you. So you know, I'm responsible for this relentless onslaught of carp fishing plugging of gear. That's you know, the bit that I want to say. I am part of it. I'm part of the vehicle. But I'd have to say that every single carp I've ever caught in my career, it's not just down to rigs and bait. It's not down to the gear. It's not down to watercraft either. It's down to effort. And that's something that I want to talk about today, is the amount of effort that you put into your fishing, because it's very easy to see people's catches on social media or on films and say, oh, it's all right for him, he's a full-time angler and things like that. And yes, I fish an awful lot more than you guys, and I do. Although there are an awful lot of people nowadays who are carp fishing a lot. They're taking work onto the bank. They're doing all of their business working on the bank. I've seen people doing stocks and shares on the bank. I've seen people running meetings on the bank. So there's a lot of people nowadays mobile working, and they're doing it whilst they're fishing. So there's a lot of people that are fishing an awful lot. But I'm only here today for a night on this lake. I'm here for an overnighter, and that's the bit that I want to talk about is overnight fishing, because it takes an awful lot of effort to do overnighters. For 20 odd years when I was working at Carp Talk, I did an awful lot of overnighters. Most of my carp that I caught up until 2018 when Carp Talk ended, it was mostly doing overnight fishing in between work. And I had a kind of radius of about an hour from where I lived that I would drive to. And you know, that's a lot of effort when you stack up the miles and you look at the end of the year tallies and things like that. There's a lot of effort involved in a lot of the catch reports that you see on social media. People don't just rock up to lakes and catch them with these magic rigs and magic baits. And today I'm at a lake in Lincoln, which has taken me 50 minutes to get here from my house. And okay, I'm a full-time angler, I can fish when I want, blah, blah, blah. But I'm only here for a night tonight. And I just want to show you the effort that I'm putting in to do this overnighter, because it is currently, 4:30 in the afternoon. And I'm here tomorrow until about 10:30. So it's an overnighter, it's less than 24 hours. Okay, I'm not leaving at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning to get to work like what I used to do when I was working at Carp Talk, but it's an overnighter, and there's a lot of effort involved in this, because this particular water that I'm fishing today, it's 160 acres. It's the same lake that I did a little upload on about feature finding on this channel about a month ago. And you know, it's a big water, so a big water, you need to put the effort, you need to drive around it, you need to look round it, I should say, not drive around it, but you need to look round it and find a fish before you set up, unless you're just going to chuck them out blindly, which sometimes you have to do, especially when you're on short sessions. But you know, this water, it's 50 minutes to get here. It's a good 5-minute drive from the gate round to where I am today, but I have also stopped along the way to check out swims, chat to anglers, trying to get a little bit of a feel into the water. So there's a lot of effort involved into getting to where I am now. Now I'm just outside the car park, and the car park at the minute, it is just through these bushes. Let me just turn this round. It's just through there. Okay, I'm not going out there because it's bright sunny at the moment, and it's doing all sorts of things with this camera, this new fancy camera that I've got. It keeps burning out the lens and making everything go super white, and I don't know how to sort it out because I'm not a tech guy with these cameras. But basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you to the swim that I've decided to fish, and I've got some gear in the swim at the moment. I'm going to have to do this upload in different segments because I want to also show you where I'm fishing and the swim and where I put the rods and stuff like that. But basically from where I am now in this particular point, it's going to take me about 5 minutes to walk to the swim. Now when you're carrying all your gear, that's a bit of a task, it really is. So let's just turn the camera around. Now this time of the year, which is June, everything's a little bit more drier. Only a few weeks ago when I was fishing this swim, everything was really, really wet underfoot. This was all marshland, and getting through that section of the path was really, really difficult. You had to put your wellies on, and only the faint-hearted did it. There's only a few guys doing it, so probably 98% of the syndicate weren't fishing these swims. Now this particular area, it's got about 5 swims on it, and it's called the out of bounds area on the lake, and all the other swims you can drive to, but this one you've got to walk to. Well, these ones I should say you have to walk to. Now all of this was all mushy a few weeks ago, but it's all nice and dry now, and when you're lugging all your gear just for an overnighter through all of this kind of stuff, this kind of terrain, I've got no gear with me now because I've got gear in the swim, and there's still a bit in the car as well. Would you do it? Would you do it? That's the question that I want to ask. Would you be prepared to fish an overnighter and lug all of your gear? And it takes me 3 different barrel loads from the car to the swim with my gear, and it's not the furthest walk, the swim that I've decided to fish tonight. It's not the furthest walk. There are a couple of other swims over the back there, which is a lot further, probably twice as far. But would you do it? Or are you one of these guys that wants success from lakes that you just rock up to, open the car boot, nicely gravelled area, telling you where to put your bivvy. It's got a little map board next to it, telling you where to cast, telling you where the features are, showing you what to do. Would you be willing to push the barrow through all of this terrain or carry your gear, which is what I have done as well. I've got 2 barrel loads and one section where I'm carrying the gear as well. But would you be prepared to do it? Because I don't think many carp anglers are aware of how important effort is when it comes to carp fishing, and how important it is when it comes to getting success out of carp fishing, because I rely on it so much. I rely on it just as much as I do rigs and bait, probably a lot more than I do rigs and bait. And I think a lot of people overlook the fact that when some guys catch some carp from some waters in England, they're not aware of how much effort's involved in it. We're in a day and age now, certainly with carp fishing, where you've got people who measure things from the numbers of fish that people catch in a session, how big those fish are. I still believe, I come from an era of carp fishing, I think, where there is an element of kudos when it comes to certain fish. Certain fish from certain waters are more credible than others. And if you can catch those credible fish from those tricky lakes, then to me there's a little bit more of an achievement in doing that. Oh, we're going through a bit of sunshine at the moment. Oh yeah, we're all right, we're okay. You know, there's a little bit more of an achievement of getting certain fish out of certain waters than there are others. You know, I'm part of that era of carp fishing where I do measure results on where's the fish from. I don't measure it just on weight. You know, a 60 pounder from Burfield would mean an awful lot more than a 60 pounder out of a small 2 acre stock pond. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But then again, there are some 2 acre lakes that's got 60 pounders in, that's got really credible fishing, such as the Wood Common, which is a mega fish which only gets caught once every 18 months or so. It doesn't come out very often at all, so it comes out just as much as the Burfield Common does. So, you know, that's the point I'm getting at. Still not at the swim yet. It's a bit of a walk. So, you know, would you be prepared to set up on a lake like this through all of the forest, carrying your gear, just to do an overnighter? And I'm not doing this to say, well, I do, you know, look at me, I do it, I'm prepared to do it. I've always been crazy, I've always been mad when it comes to carp fishing. Ask anybody who knows me, they'll all tell you that I'm a nutcase. I'll do anything. If it needs a 4 mile barrel push with my gear, I'll do it. If it needs a 10 mile barrel push to get on the fish, I'll do it. That's what I'm like, and that's what I rely on. Right, there we go. I'm in the swim. There's all my gear, or some of my gear, still some in the car. So that's the question in today's upload, is would you be prepared to do it? How far would you go for your for your carp fishing? What sort of efforts will you put into your fishing to get the results that you want? Nothing comes easy. Nothing good comes easy anyway. Nothing is given to you on a plate. And we are in an era now, I think, where people want instant success. People want things very quickly. They want things given to them, and they want the success that somebody else has tried to get over the period of 30, 40 years. They want it overnight. I've caught more than him today, so therefore I deserve to have what he's got. And some people are a little bit like that, I think, in the world today. Whereas I think, you know, nothing comes quickly, nothing comes easily. And the more effort you put into stuff, the more rewarding it feels. So there you go. That's the topic that I want to talk about today. And as I say, it's only a short 20-25 minute upload. What I'm going to do now is get my gear all set up. It's all here. Still got some stuff in the car that I've got to go and get, but I've basically got to blow the boat up, set it up. I've got a battery somewhere that I've carried around. I've got all of this stuff here that's not set up yet. I've got gear strewn all over the place. Some of you guys will be able to do it in a lot less barrel pushes than I've done. You probably strip things down a little bit better than I have, but you know, that's not the purpose of this film. It's just to say that this is the kind of effort that I will go to catch fish just on an overnighter. And believe me, I have put in an awful lot more effort than I have today for this session, because this water is a lot easier to fish than some of the other waters, and ones that spring to mind, Tilery in East Yorkshire. God, that was a right balls ache fishing there. It's run by Holland District Angling Association. Massive water. Well, it's massive water. It's nothing compared to this venue. It's only about 30 acres in size, whereas this one's 160 acres in size. But from the car park, and I'm talking about when I fished it, because over the years the car park has changed location on Tilery. I know from in the early days you could park not too far away from where the factory is, but they stopped you parking in the car park due to health and safety during the years that I fished there. You had to park near Brickyards Pond and then walk all your gear round. And it was a right walk. And Ben Wales, who we used to work with at Carp Talk, he actually pin dropped and measured exactly how far it was. He pin dropped it from the car park at Brickyards right the way around to the West Bank swims, which were the best swims on the lake at certain times of the year. And it was a mile exactly from car park to there. And you weren't just walking along a tarmac road or a gravel road or a nice path or anything like that. You were going up and down and round bushes and corners, bramble corners, and then you were going over a field which at certain times of the year had been ploughed, and it made it really awful going across it, because the furrows that was in the ground were just awful. They were about 18 inches deep in places, and pushing a barrow across it was impossible because there wasn't a proper path around Tilery. I don't know what it's like nowadays. I think it's probably even worse nowadays, because I don't think it gets fished a great deal. But when I was on there, it was a right trek. It really was. And on certain days when it was wet and rainy, windy, the weather was against you as well. I actually know one angler who used to fish there, my old mate Derek Fell. It was such a big barrow push for him. He would stop halfway and light up another fag and have a little tea break. He'd get his stove out, make a brew, and then carry on pushing his gear around. That's what some guys were like on Tilery. It was a right trek to set your gear up, but the rewards were there. There was mega fish, absolutely beautiful fish. Some of them were like 30, 40 years old, absolutely ancient fish, and they were worth the effort. It was a proper gruel, proper hard lake. The mosquitoes were absolutely huge. They were relentless as well. And as soon as you got your bivvy set up, it was zip everything down. Talking about mosquitoes, I think I've got one on me at the minute. It was zip everything down and hide away, and then get out there and get the rods out as quickly as you can, and then hide away again in the bivvy again. So proper hard graft. And you used to fish overnighters on there. Ben Wells used to as well. When he was at Carp Talk, he used to do overnighters, and there was quite a few other lads who did as well. So, you know, those are the guys that got the reward from that lake by putting the effort in. And there's lots of other examples. There's probably an awful lot more guys watching this or out there who could say, well, I've actually walked 2 miles just to do an overnighter on a lake. And, you know, Julian Cundiff, for many years, he used to work as a magistrate's clerk, and he used to fish an awful lot of the waters. in the East Yorkshire area where I used to live, and he would be overnightering during the week, getting up really early, leaving on bike time first thing in the morning to get home, to get washed, to get showered, to get his suit on, to get himself all suited and booted up, get his sandwiches ready, get his briefcase ready, get his hair all sorted out to get into court within an hour's time. So that's the kind of effort that some people put in. There's a guy on Girton who's been fishing there for quite a few years, Lee Metcalf, and he does overnights. He pulls off at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is the best bite time on that lake. And he misses the best bite times all the times, and he goes off to work in his little suit, gets it all sorted out and gets himself all cleaned up in the clubhouse, pulls off the lake and goes to work. There's loads of guys that do it. Loads of guys that's watching this now, you're probably doing overnighters all the time, and they are absolutely proper graft. They really are. And that's basically what I wanted to talk about in today's film, is just talk about how much effort is needed to catch carp, because it's an important part of it. Anyway, let's get the gear set up, get the swim all sorted, and we'll go from there. I'm having to film this in different sections because I couldn't do it all in one go because I've not got the rods out, but this is the morning after I did that first section, and here's a look at the swim. There you go. There's the bivvy setup. That's the EXO one man. Hooking mat hanging up at the moment because I had a fish yesterday evening. Actually, I had a fish in the night as well, but that was a bream, not a carp this morning. Although it is a better morning water, this venue, so I'm still hoping that something might happen. It's only 9:10. But yeah, there's all the gear that I've got. Benchmark X in there, big bed chair, couple of bags down there, food bag, fresh food bag, water container, battery pack, phone, camera, rucksack, chair as well. Got all the vents open at the back on the bivvy. Let me see if I can get round there. Obviously, nights like last night, which was very, very warm last night, really warm. Needed all the vents open. So, yeah, it's good to have a versatile bivvy when you're fishing swims like this, because you can imagine, look at that, it's all muddy. It's actually quite dry at the moment, that is, compared to a few weeks ago when I first fished it, because when I first fished it, there was actually a board in the swim which was just there where you put the bivvy on, because all this, you just couldn't walk on it. It was so mushy, and you couldn't sit up on it because the water was a lot higher than what it is now, and it was proper hard graft, as it was last night as well, setting up. There's one rod in from getting breamed last night. That's one of the little 10-foot React rods. There's the EX cast reel, 18-pound camo outline on it as well. So yeah, barrow. That's got my marker and spod rod in it as well. Don't know why I've brought that, because I've actually got a boat through here as well. So yeah, real hard graft, just for a night. What is it now? It's 9:15 at the moment. I've got about an hour left before I have to leave. There's the boat, all kitted out. Landing net, life jacket in the boat. A lot of mess. Oh, it looks like I've been raided by the birds overnight. There's the boilies. There's got tins of sweet corn in there. I've even got some particles. There's the echo sounder. Got the boards in the boat as well, just for safety. That's all secured and tied up to the tree. But there's the rods. Let's see if I can just adjust this screen. Yeah. Lake looks absolutely beautiful at the moment. There's the left-hand rod that did me the bream in the night. That actually did me a carp as well yesterday. I had a 31 mirror yesterday, just not too long after setting up, just down this margin. You can see there's a set of reeds. Let me just see if I can zoom in. There you go. There's a set of reeds just down the margin, about 40 yards, and just over the back of there's like a 5-foot, 6-foot plateau over there, and it all runs down the side of the reeds down to the left into a bay, and just off the corner there is where I've had the carp yesterday. But since then I've not had anything. I thought, yeah, great start, you know, get a fish almost straight after casting out, probably, I don't know, about an hour or so, 2 hours after casting out, and thought, yeah, there's carp around here, but during the night, nothing. Just that bream. That was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been told about the bream in here, there's quite a few in here, but the lake's been netted, and a lot of them have been removed. But typically I've gone and caught one. It's good old size as well, it's probably about, I don't know, got to be close to 10, I would have said, 8, 9, 10, something like that. That was the left-hand rod anyway. Right-hand rod is, well, you can see the line there. The line going down, just point you towards that. A little plateau that sort of drops, let me see if I can, sort of drops down here about 6 foot, 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot, 12 foot, and it's just on the 12 foot area there. So I'm hoping that fish will come around that corner, hit that 12 foot spot, and then they follow the 12 foot depth all the way along here in front, where it slowly drops down. You can see these are a different setup to the other two rods. The other two are the 10 foot React rods. These are the 13 foot, 4 pound elevate rods. But basically you've got my left hand rod in 12 foot, where it drops down, it sort of slowly drops down to 12 foot, and it's almost like or 12 and a half foot, it's almost like a ledge that then sort of levels out, and the fish follow it round. But what you've got round here to the right is you've got another little plateau that raises up, and it's got a lot of weed on top of that plateau. It's a really carpy looking area, and of all the rods that I've got out at the moment, that's the one rod that I thought might have done me a fish, but it hasn't done me one. But over the back of the weed, it's nice and clear in about 6 foot, lovely clear spots, goes down with a real nice drop as well. So yeah, that's the 4 rods, and as I said, I've got 2 different sets of rods. Reason for that is because I'm on a big pit, and sometimes I'm going to be fishing really close in, as I am on the left hand set and the right hand set at the moment. But on here I like to have the options of fishing close and far, and the little rods are ideal for close in work, especially when you're using a boat, and especially around some of these trees as well. And then I've got these bigger rods just for the rods that I decide to put out a little bit further. You've got a little bit more power, a little bit more control over the fish at long range, especially when they're in thick weed beds. So that's the reason behind why I'm using 2 different types of rods, and that is a look at the setup. And there's the swim. What do you think of it? Nice looking swim, carpy swim. It's almost like a continental swim, like fishing on the Orient or Shanty, places that I fished a lot of in the past. It's a real nice feel, this lake has. It's almost like, it's not like an English carp lake, it's like a European one. But there you go. As I say, I'm here for about another hour and then I'm leaving. So, was it worth it for one night? Well, of course it was worth it. I've caught a 31 pound mirror and a decent sized bream if you're into bream. But for the effort, would you do it? I'm sure some of you have. I'm sure some of you would do. And I'm sure some of you wouldn't do, because that's carp angling and that's carp anglers. But I'm of the opinion you really have got to put the effort in carp fishing to get the results. It's not just about this magical industry, these magical rigs and the magical bait that you cast out. You know, we're all sold that side of things, and I'm involved in it. I'm involved in the industry, so you know, from my point of view, I try and step away from this hard selling that some carp anglers do. And you know, of course, we've got to sell products. It's what pays our wages. But the hard selling side of carp fishing really does drive me insane. It's something I try and stay away from. I know in this little piece now I've just talked about some of the Avid products and maybe even shown some of the DNA products as well that I work for. But there is this continual hard sell that keeps coming across in the fishing industry. It's like, you're not going to catch carp unless you use this rig. You're not going to catch carp unless you use this bait, you know, or this product. Well, I come in it at a completely different angle, I do. And I hope it comes across in a lot of my vlogs. I hope it comes across in some of the pieces that I put out there. there's more to it than just using these top end products. The effort is something I rely on massively. You know, you can see that with the rigs that I use. I really use simple rigs, and I tend to use pretty straightforward baiting strategies and bait setups as well. You know, there's nothing fancy about my carp fishing. It's more driven by the passion of loving carp fishing and wanting to go carp fishing. And I know it's my job. I know you can say, oh yeah, it's your job, you can go all the time and stuff like that. And I know I can, I know that, but I've turned it into my job by having the passion and having the drive and having the enthusiasm to try and catch fish, and the work ethic to try and catch fish. And this is by no means the hardest swim that I've fished for an overnighter. I've fished a lot of places. Overseas I've done some ridiculous stuff. I can remember rowing miles on places like the Orient, or some of the rivers that I fished in France with Rob Hughes in the early 90s. Used to row miles to try and hide away and escape the garde de pêche, and just hide away and have a little bit of our own little world, if you know what I mean, a bit of escapism. And you know, in England I've done a lot of overnighters, as I said earlier on, fishing places like Tilery, where there's an awfully long walk to the swim, where you need to put an awful lot of effort in. Sometimes it paid off, sometimes, or more times than not, it hasn't paid off. You know, tonight I've just had one fish, but at least I've caught one. You know, I've put the effort in, and I feel a little bit rewarded by it as well. I'd feel a little bit more rewarded if I'd had a whacker, one of the 40 pounders or whatever, but you know, hopefully you can get the point that I'm trying to make in this little film, is that carp fishing, you get out of carp fishing what you put in. You put the effort in, you can catch them. If you don't want to put the effort in, then of course you can still catch them, depending on the venues that you go to, but you'll find that you won't be as rewarded if you just rely on this relentless hard selling of rigs and bait and what have you. You need to put the effort in. Anyway, let's leave it there. I've got to get all this stuff packed away now, and or in the next hour, get it packed away and get off home. Not coming back tonight, but I would do if I had the time to do it. I've got stuff on today, so I can't do it. But I'll be back next week and the week after, whenever I've got a free day, free time, however long. If I think I can get a night in or a few hours in and it's worth it, then you can be sure that I'll be putting the effort in to try and make it happen. Anyway, I shall see you again soon for the next upload next week. Not sure what it's going to be next week, but I hope this has given you a little bit of an insight into my sort of frame of mind when it comes to carp fishing. I'll leave you with a little shot of the lake. God, absolutely lovely, really is. Love being here. Catching is a bonus. Just being here, escaping the world. What more can a man want? Apart from his wife here as well. But she's at home with the dogs, and I better start packing up now so I can go and join her. See you soon, guys.